Hey guys, welcome to Mitch's Music. Today we are going to talk about picking patterns to help you play slower songs. And I said yesterday, if you were watching my video yesterday, I said that this was going to be classic country, but really I started thinking about it, and this one is fairly versatile. By the way, if you are new to my channel, I do a lot of country songs. I do a lot of classic country, modern country, 90s country, but I also do classic rock and modern rock requests. I've done a lot of different styles. Um, so if you have any requests, if you have a song that's out there, no matter what the genre is, and you just cannot find a recording of it or a tab for it, just let me know in the comments below, and I will work on that for you. I love getting requests because it helps me know what you guys are looking for. And so today we are going to talk about picking patterns. And most of the time, when I am writing out chords for songs, I've noticed that I tend to go to the same strumming pattern, the same picking pattern most of the time. It fits the song really well. And normally, with very few exceptions, it's exactly what they're playing on the recording as well. And so I wanted to show you those, and we're going to start with the picking pattern today because I use this all the time. And basically, it's easy to understand if you just narrow it down to how many strings you're using. And so we're going to start with using all six strings. And so that would be chords like G, E, E minor. And so F, any bar chord like this. Even if you're doing a D, but you have the F sharp in the bass with your thumb, like this pattern works for those. And so what I'm going to do, and we're just going to do the chord G, all right? And what I do is I play the root note, and then after that, I'm going to alternate back and forth between the D string, then the G string, then the D string, then the B string, and then I'm going to come back down. So it's going to go. So I'm playing the E, D, G, D, B, D, G, D. And like I said, that same picking pattern can work for if you're doing a song that does, like, say the song does G and then the D with the F sharp in the bass and then E minor. You can keep that same picking pattern for each one of those chords. And it works fine. Now, say your next chord is C. So I'm basically going to do the same thing. I'm just changing the first note that I'm playing. So now I'm going to play the A string, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the D, G, and B string. So it's going to go A, D, G, D, B, D, G, D. And that's the same pattern that you would do for A minor. So A, D, G, D, B, D, G, D, or A, D, G, D, B, D. Or basically any other string that is uses the A string as its starting point. All right, so we've done the chords with the E string. We've done the chords with the A string. Now we're going to look at the D string. So that would be chords like D. So basically, I'm doing the exact same thing here. I'm just playing different strings. So for these, I'm going to start on the D string, and then I'm going to go all the way up to the high E. So it's going to go D, G, D, G, So D, G, B, G, E, G, B, G. You just keep that going. This would work for like this version of an F chord. D minor. Now, one thing, if you want to fill out your chords a little bit more, you can use this finger to pluck the first time through. So the first time through with G, I would play the B string and it would sound like this. So I'm doing the same picking pattern other than just this very first one where I'm adding a B while I'm playing the low E. So it sounds like this. Then if I did that same progression, I would just keep doing that same thing, but go down. Then to C, and I'm just hitting the B string every time. Just doing that pluck on the B string. Then when I go to D, I would play the D string and the high E string at the same time, like this. All right, and once you get used to that pattern, what happens is you're able to modify it pretty easily because as long you can do any variation of this. The main difference that you need to keep in mind is when you are playing, you need to make sure, so like if I'm doing 4 beats per measure like I just was, and that is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and notice I'm going to the root on 1 every time. As long as you start back over at the root on 1 every time, any variation that you do afterwards is going to sound fine. So I can go like just keep doing that alternating pattern, but go all the way up to the high E string. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so you can do any alteration of the actual picking pattern as long as you're making sure you're making it back to that root on the 1. And that's a pretty good rule to do with just about anything. So play around with this pattern. Let me know what you think about it. And let me know if it has helped you get a little bit better at picking some chords with your favorite slow song. Also, next week, I'm going to do a whole classic country week. So, what I'm going to do, unless you guys have some requests for me before then, um, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look back at some of the favorite ones that I've done um, from the past, the ones that have had the most views and things like that. And I'm going to pick some of those and I'm going to do a different song Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week and just do a more in depth look at each of the songs so that maybe if you looked at the tab and you've had an issue with still getting some parts, maybe we can solve those. So if you have a song you'd like me to take a more in-depth dive into next week, let me know. Have a great weekend, guys. That's it for me.